Vanakkam. Now, today, this is going to be a maiden series. This is the first time we are going to do this type of Fema series. That is Foreign Exchange Management Regulation Act of 1999. See, almost I plan to cover the entire Fema portion in 15 to 20 presentation, 20 series. So if you attend regularly, then you'll be a master in Fema, because based on my observation, I want to say that Fema has got a very big and good opportunity in our profession. So be thorough with Fema provisions and you can do the practice. Today, I am going to start the introduction part as well as the residential status as defined by the Fema. These two topics I am going to cover today. Now, before starting the session, I want to say why this Fema is being given importance. I'm going to now start with the background of Fema. What prompted the government to form Fema? First thing, before 1970, our Indian economy has got lot of adverse balance of payments. Now you should know what is balance of payment. Balance of payment means the holding of foreign exchange on hand. So first, if import exceeds export, so import means you have to pay the amount to the foreign country. So money will go, foreign exchange will go out of India. So when import exceeds export, export means whenever you sell the goods on export rate, the money has to come to India. So this is a basic difference. When import exceeds export, then it is a normal thing that it has got an adverse balance of payment. So the government wants to have balance of payment in a favorable situation. So because of this, the shortage of funds are there in the foreign exchange, because the government, they have to borrow from other country to meet the foreign exchange needs. So because of this adverse balance of payment, there was a shortage of foreign exchange. So the government wants to settle and they want to bring the transaction into a favorable balance of payments. So initially, after obtaining independence, they have made one act called as FERA 1947. That is called as Foreign Exchange Regulation Act of 1947. So that was the initial promulgation of act. After that, another act which has repealed the 1947 act is FERA 1973. That act came into effect from 1174. That act came into effect from 1174. So almost for the year up to year 2000, the act FERA 1973 played a very vital role in all import and export procedures and all foreign exchange transactions. So this is the base based on which FERA has come. Now, lot of governments have come because a change in economic policy made the government to rethink about the FERA 1973. So government felt that when they allow foreign investments in various sectors of industries, if they allow, then a lot of foreign exchange will come into India. So business will develop. Then employment opportunities will also develop. So they want to change the FERA 1973 with all latest additions, with all by plugging the loopholes that were available, that were there in FERA 1973. So because of that, if they allow the foreign institutional investors to come and invest in in economy, lot of foreign exchange will come. So when lot of foreign exchanges come, then this will have a favorable balance of payments. So the government intention is that always the government should feel that they should have balance of payments position favorable. So all these things that matters very, very important. So based on that, the FERA has been repealed to FEMA, Foreign Exchange Management Act of 1999. This is as per the Article 246 of Constitution of India. So government and parliament, they have repealed, they have changed the FERA 1973 to FEMA 1999. This has come into effect from 1/6/2000. From 1/6/2000 till now, the FEMA is in force. So this is a very, very important thing, that still all the foreign exchange transactions, everything will be covered by the FEMA of 1999. The main purpose of FEMA is that they want to improve the external trade, and they want to improve the payments. So in order to improve the payments, external business, that is in the form of exports and imports, and the receipts and payments in foreign exchange, they want to make alteration in FEMA. That is the main purpose of FEMA. Then because of this, promoting the orderly development and maintenance of foreign exchange in India. If they regularize the foreign exchange, then the government will have a very good foreign exchange positions in a balance, in a favorable balance of payments. Normally, one point we have to remember: the FEMA is an act passed by Parliament as per Article 246 of Constitution of India. Now, the central government has passed the act, but it is not possible for the central government to have continuous management of FEMA. So what they do, they have delegated the powers of controlling and managing FEMA to Reserve Bank of India. So FEMA is now under the control of the RBI, and that the rules have to be formed by central government. The Reserve Bank of India is there to implement to the FEMA rules and regulations as prescribed by the central government. They are the implementing authority, they are the administrator. So FEMA comes under the control of Reserve Bank of India as per the decision given by the central government. And at this juncture, I want to say that all the presentation which I am doing here in this series, it is only based on my views. So if you want to go further to act to study FEMA, please read FEMA Act of 1999 at your convenience. You understand it, you have to refer a lot of books. Then I am just giving overall view. I am not going to give a specific view about the points in FEMA. This is only only this thing I want to say before starting the session of FEMA. So FERA 1947 comes into FERA 1973. Later on, it has been converted into FEMA 1999, and till now FEMA is under force. Now, applicability of FEMA. We have to see the applicability of FEMA. The FEMA rules, FEMA Act, Foreign Exchange Management Act of 1999, it applies to whole of India, including Jammu and Kashmir. Because now it's Jammu and Kashmir is part of India, so it applies to whole of India. It also applies to all branches, offices, and agencies outside India, but the business is owned and controlled by person resident in India. So a resident is here, but if he has got branches, offices, agencies outside India, there also their functioning is being controlled by FEMA, because the business is owned and controlled by the person resident in India. So if there is any contravention in the provisions of FEMA at the foreign based branches, offices, and agencies as stated in point number 2, the provisions of FEMA is applicable in case if there is any contravention to the FEMA rules. let us I'll explain in another example. There is a high seas IC6 IC ship. A ship has started from, say, Japan. It goes via India in sea. But if it travels in international water territory, there is no problem of applicability of. In case if that ship comes and enters into any of the Indian port or enters into the Indian territorial water, then the provisions of Fema is applicable. This is a very, very important thing. You can argue that this is a foreign ship, Fema is not applicable. But if it enters Indian territorial water or Indian port, then Fema provisions are applicable. This you can get from the practice angle. Here I want to say one thing. In case any aircraft, it flies from India to abroad, till it covers the Indian territorial airspace, Fema provisions are applicable. When it goes out of India territorial region, Fema is not applicable. But you have to see, before clearing from India, every Fema rules and regulations have to be followed by all transport authorities. So this is the thing. A foreign ship can come to India. Then if it comes to India, then Fema is applicable. Now I am going to discuss about the highlights of Fema. What are the important highlights of Fema? This is, you have to be very, very careful. Free transactions are permitted in the current account subject to restrictions. That is, central government has got the control of current account transactions, but they have to get the permission or clearance or direction from RBI. So current account comes under the jurisdiction or comes under the powers of the central government. So here I'm going to discuss about the current account transactions and capital account transactions in a separate series. And here I'm just touching current account. Then we can say that current account is just a cash flow statement, just like our bank current account. Whatever money comes in, it comes, money goes. But in current account, no capital asset is being created. This is a very, very important thing. In current account, rupee can be converted. Suppose if any money, any foreign currency comes into the current account, then that can be converted into INR, Indian rupee. Next thing is RBI has to control capital account transaction. I'll just highlight what is capital account transaction. A person is a resident, and if he invests outside. So if there is any change in assets or liabilities, including contingent liabilities, are covered under capital account transaction. In case a person resident outside India, and if he comes and invests in India, then in case of any change in assets or liabilities in India, that is also be included in the capital account transaction. So RBI has got direct control over the capital account transaction. So CC, that is current account transactions, is under the control of central government. But any modification, they can to get the RBI direction, then they will do it. But with reference to capital account transaction, it is the 100% control controlled by Reserve Bank of India. Next one is the control over export process realization. The highlights of Fema says that in case if you do any export, okay, export is permitted. It is if the bill is in the dollars or in foreign currency. The bill is sent for collection. It can be routed through no-show. Okay, in that amount is being credited. If the bill is sent for collection, within how many days the funds have to be recovered? If it is not recovered, what are the provisions that are applicable as per Fema? Everything is dealt in detail in Fema. That portion also we will cover in detail in other series. So, dealing in foreign exchange through authorized persons. Normally, Reserve Bank of India, it is not possible for the Reserve Bank of India to do the foreign exchange transactions directly. So they appoint some mediators. they authorize some persons to deal in foreign exchange. That person is called as authorized persons. So authorized persons include authorized dealers, money exchangers, offshore banking. So all are included in by the definition of authorized persons. Now, these authorized persons have been appointed by the Bank of India. The RBI has issued licenses to authorized persons. So banks, let us take authorized dealer. So banks are they have to apply for the license before RBI. RBI in turn they have to grant the license, fulfilling all the terms and conditions. All the rules and regulations about the transaction of foreign exchange by authorized dealers have been pointed out clearly by Reserve Bank of India. So they have to apply for the license because RBI has got the controlling power. So all the authorized persons, they have to apply for the license before Reserve Bank of India. Next thing is the Fema provisions have got adjudicated offenses. If there are any offense, then the Fema authorities can pass an order against the lawbreakers. So adjudication of offenses are there. Yes, provisions are also there. In case if the party, the customer, the assessee has not to the orders passed by the adjudicating authority, they can go for appeal provisions. This is also applicable. And recently, in the year 2019, Foreign Exchange Management Non-Debt Instrument Rules 2019 has been passed by the Parliament, and the power of administration is being given to Reserve Bank of India. This is a latest thing. This has been notified by the central government, and the administration powers have been given to RBI. So RBI may interpret or can interpret and issue directions with reference to the circulars, instructions, clarification for the effective implementation of the rules or the provision rules. So Foreign Exchange Management Non-Debt Instruments Rules 2019, the administration powers have been given to Reserve Bank of India. Now we will see debt and non-debt instruments. What are all called as debt instrument and what are all called as non-debt instruments? The NDA rules provide that an exhaustive list of the instruments of non-debt instruments and defines debt instruments as all the instruments falling outside the category of non-debt instruments. They have given a list of non-debt instruments. If it falls outside non-debt instruments, they are called as debt instruments. This need to be read along with the list of debt instruments and non-debt instruments as notified by the central government on October 16, 2019. This is the latest additional power given by the central government to the Reserve Bank of India to administer FEM non-debt instrument rules of 2019. Now we will see what are the debt instruments, non-debt instruments. Just I'll read it. That is, it is an exhaustive list, provides for an exhaustive list. If nothing is controlled in mentioned in this non-debt instruments, then they are called as debt instrument rules. All investments in equity instruments and incorporated entities, say public, private, listed, and unlisted. This is clearly stated in Rule 2A1 of NDI rules. Next one is capital participation in LLP. Then all instruments of investment recognized by FDI, Foreign Direct Investment Policy, notified from time to time. Then investment in units of alternative investment funds, real estate investment trust, and infrastructure investment trust. Then investment in mutual funds or exchange traded funds which invest more than 50% of the equity. Then junior most layer, that is equity tranche of securitizations of structure and acquisition or sale or dealing directly in immovable property. Then contribution to trust. These are all not called as these are all called as non-debt. So these are all not called as debt. These are all non-debt instruments. Then deposit receipts issued against equity instruments. See, this is the latest thing that has been issued, that has been issued by central government, and the power has been given to administrative powers have been given to Reserve Bank of India to manage, to maintain, to administer foreign exchange management non-debt instruments rules of 2019. Now I'm going for Fema suspension. Who has passed the Fema? It has been passed by the central government. So who has got the power to suspend? It is the central government and not by any authority. But he has got the power to control, but it has got no power to suspend. So the central government has got the power to suspend the act or to make the provisions of the Fema Act in the interest of the public. The central government has to prove that the suspension of the act is in the interest of the. Next one is, for this, the central government can issue notification. After issuing the notification, which has to be placed before Parliament for 30 days, and this notification has to be passed by the Parliament. So the suspension of the provisions or suspension of the Fema Act, the power lies with the central government and not with any authority. So this is a very, very important thing that you have to see. Next one is, now we have to see what is the effect of Fema changes. First thing, due to fall in foreign exchange reserves, payments were here. Initially, due to adverse payments, all the business people, all the authorized dealers, they are afraid that they have to make. They purchased, they sold it, but they want to buy. They have to buy at the higher rate. So the payments are feared because of high increase in cost. So due to fall in foreign exchange reserve, the Fema has come to the rescue, and it has controlled the foreign exchange reserve. Everything the government through RBI, they have implemented, they control foreign exchange reserve. Now the government has announced liberalization of foreign exchange. So anyone can come to India and they can make the investment. So foreign exchange is for liberalization of foreign exchange. So anyone come to India and they can invest. And if they want to go out, they can take the money outside. So for this, you please read the liberalization of foreign exchange provisions. That portion we will cover on a later part of the series. Then foreign companies are permitted to invest in it. So the foreign companies, they say that it is 29% or 49% or 51%. If their limit has increased, a lot of people, a lot of foreign companies, they have come and invest in India. Thereby, the reserves have increased. So this is also the effect of Fema. There's a clear provision in the Fema how the foreign companies, they are coming to India and how they are going to invest. Then foreign exchange assets with RBI started rising. That means all the foreign companies, they wanted to invest in the assets of assets at India with the permission of RBI. So foreign exchange assets have been showing on the increasing trend. Now the Reserve Bank of India has given a general permission, that is, goods can be imported under OGL, open general license. So they have given a full list, and also there's a restricted list, non-OGL. So if you want to deal any product in non-OGL, you have to get the RBI permission. Say gold, no one is permitted to import gold except for that 7 institutions. If you want to import gold, you have to apply to the Reserve Bank of India. Only when the Reserve Bank of India, they have given the permission, you are permitted to import the gold. So the same OGL details have been clearly and fully covered in Fema. And rupee, this is also one of the highlights of Fema. Rupee can be fully convertible. I mean, foreign exchange can be fully convertible into rupee in current account transactions and capital account transactions. In capital account, normally funds brought into India for long-term investment. It is in the form of shares. This is also only an example I am giving. Current account means it can be easily convertible and repatriable. That is NRE account of NRE. So this is also permitted because of Fema changes. Next one is an individual is permitted to open an account in foreign bank and when it up to LRS. I'll tell what is LRS. LRS means liberalized remittance scheme, wherein a person from India, non-resident, he can transfer the funds from NRO account to his foreign bank account to a limit of 250,000 US dollars per financial year without RBI permission. But anyone can transfer the fund to RBI at their after getting the permission. Any amount, even if it is $5 lakh also you can transfer. But they say that it is 250,000 US dollars. That's a ceiling for the general license. So the remittances are permitted for overseas education. So LRS, through LRS, the fund transfer can be used for the overseas education, travel, medical treatment, and purchase of shares and property, apart from maintenance of relatives living abroad and gifting and donations. So the LRS funds can be used. And remittances are not permitted. This point you have to bear in mind. Remittances are not permitted for trading in the forex market, margin in overseas exchange, and counterparties, and the purchase of foreign currency convertible bonds issued by the Indian companies. So these are the remittances which are not permitted because of Fema change. Then anyone can invest up to 250,000 US dollars, and this investment can be made only by individual and not by other person. Individual is included, has to include minors also. Minor individual also is being covered by the definition of the individual. So RBI has announced various schemes on repatriation scheme, that is portfolio investment scheme they have announced, so that the funds will come to India. Then investment by FIS, that is no permissions required to repatriate or for the funds transferred in the form, that is repatriation, no permission is required to repatriate or for transfer of the shares. These are the specific permission, general permission given by Fema, so that people, they will do it at ease. Now, what are the other effects of Fema? Central government can impose reasonable restrictions by issuing goods. So rules have to be issued by the central government through Fema. Regulations have to be found by the RBI. So RBI cannot directly handle foreign exchange transactions. This is what I have already said. So they have to do through the authorized persons. Authorized persons license will be given by Reserve Bank of India. So RBI cannot impose any restriction in the current account transaction because the restrictions are within the powers of the central government. But central government can put the restriction, but they have to get the RBI directions in this regard. And RBI has to control dealings in foreign exchange by giving general or special permission to deal in foreign exchange. So just like LRS, liberalized remittance scheme. Then RBI specifies conditions for payment in respect of capital, because capital account transactions are under the direct control of Reserve Bank of India. Current account transactions are under the control of central government. And then we will see what are the other Fema changes. RBI has got the controlling powers, so it can regulate or restrict in the transfer or issue of foreign security to resident. Transfer and issue of foreign security to resident, Indian security to person of Indian origin. Here I put non-resident, but in Fema you have to note that there is no word called as non-resident. So an individual that is resident can transfer or issue foreign security. For that, the RBI has given some specific general permission. Then borrowing and lending in foreign exchange to Indians or to a foreign. So an Indian and resident can also borrow funds from foreign person of that is non-resident. They can borrow. A person who is not a resident. Then this person, that is non-resident, can also borrow funds from Indian resident. So what are the rules and regulations that we will see later. So this is the effect of Fema. Then export and import of currency under currency notes. So when you want to leave India, so you have to carry, say, you can carry 3,000 US dollars without giving the currency declaration form, CDF. So if you want to carry more than that, you have to get the RBI permission. In case if you are coming from abroad to India, you can bring 5,000 US dollars without making any declaration in CDF, currency declaration form. If you are bringing more amount, then you have to inform this to Reserve Bank of India through CDF. Then transfer of immovable property outside India. A person is here as a resident. What is the provision that are there to transfer immovable property outside India without getting RBI's permission? And suppose if any guarantee is given to the person of non-resident, those provisions are also covered through Fema. So these are the important changes in Fema. And another effect of change is import and export business, period of foreign exchange. Suppose if you do the export, then within what time the amount has to come. So that's a rule. So everything is clearly stated in Fema. That's why I said you practice in Fema, you get a lot of very big opportunity in Fema. You please concentrate on this area. Then it grants exemption from realization repatriation, and RBI has that to give authorization to the authorized persons. This we have already discussed. RBI is that to make regulations. Rules have to be made by the central government, and it is RBI is an administrator of foreign exchange management non-debt instrument rules of 2019. RBI can give ex post facto approval. That is, after transaction done, if any transaction is done without approval, then if the person was done that, and if they apply to Reserve Bank of India, they will give the ratification. If with a condition or without any condition, they will give the ratification. Then RBI approval is required, then the auction holds good. Otherwise, if declined, then you have to face the consequences of it. So because if any act is done without permission, you have to apply for it. And if RBI approves, then it's okay. If it is not approved, then the person who has deviated, who has violated FEMA, they have to face the consequences of FEMA. And another thing is RBI control through foreign exchange. See, they've got two offices. This is only for a piece of information I'm giving. The central office is situated at Mumbai and partly in Delhi, apart from having regional offices at various. That is, each and every state has got a regional office. Every state has got regional office of RBI. And they have to issue the directions as per the law in force. This is the point you have to bear in mind. The RBI can give the directions as per the law in force. You can see the website of RBI website is www.rbi.org. Here I want to say one thing to the fellow members. Please go and concentrate on RBI website. Every week you have to read, because a lot of rules, lot of circulars have been issued by the Reserve Bank of India that will be useful to your profession. Then authorized dealers are allowed to do the foreign exchange transactions, and there is one thing called as FEDI, that is Foreign Exchange Dealers Association of India. They help in administration of foreign exchange. They will say this is the collection charges. They will say this is the collection period. And authorized dealers, they have to consult, they have to rely on FEDI's direction before charging anything in the foreign exchange transactions. And now you have to be very, very careful with reference to section 3. That is with reference to general relaxation. Any payment to person not resident in India. That is, person resident outside India is called as non-resident. It's not a resident. Then you can receive any payment from person resident outside India, but by resident in India. So resident to non-resident, non-resident to resident, a general relaxation is being given as per section 3. You please go through section 3. You will get all the details. That general permission list I'll cover in my next slide. And they have to act as per RBI's general or special permission. And what are the section 3 says the general permission given by the Reserve Bank of India is, for this please refer the notification FEMA dated 3/5/2000 and receive the payment. Suppose person resident outside India, if he comes to India, he may be paid in Indian rupee or he may be paid check or bank and postal orders. Suppose if he goes abroad, then he can receive the foreign exchange out of India. If he goes out of India, then he can receive the foreign currency outside India. Then making the payment. Now receive, making the payment. Now I want to make the payment. On visit by person resident outside India, towards boarding, lodging, and traveling and medical expenses, payment for gold and silver. For the medical expenses, the amount can be paid in INR. Because in case the person resident outside India, if he comes to India and if he brings gold and silver as per the Indian rules, as per the Indian law, when you purchase it, you have to make the payment. That is also permitted, but that can be done only in INR. And in case if any guarantee is given to resident outside India as per law, then the payment can be given to the person resident outside India. It's all general permission. For this, you need not go and approach Reserve Bank of India. And if any foreign, if that's a company, a whole-time, non-whole-time director has visited India from abroad for the travel expenses and sitting expenses that can be paid in INR. These are all covered under general permission. And you can make a gift to NRI, that is as well as overseas citizen of India by way of check, DD from non-resident or NRO account with LRS limit. So within the LRS limit, you can make a gift to NRI or OCI. OCI means overseas citizen of India. And as well as if any loan you want to give, you can give to the NRI relatives only in Indian. All this gift and a loan, purchase of property, we will deal separately in other part of the sales. Now, approval and permission. What is approval? See, approval means action is good. When the RBI says, yes, we approve it, then that means if you are deviated from the regular norms, you are approved. Then that means you are in order. Disapproved means then you are at loss. So you have to face the consequences of FEMA. So the decision does not become effective till permission is obtained. Yeah, deviated from the norms, but only when RBI approves me, then the decision comes to otherwise it is an inconclusive decision. So permission is required. This is a basic difference between the permission and approval. Now, a resident who hold, you are the resident in India. You are there to hold foreign exchange, foreign currency, and immovable property outside India. For that, you have to get RBI permission. And no person resident in India can do it without getting the approval of RBI. So he can hold, possess, or transfer. So any foreign exchange, foreign currency, immovable property situated outside India, RBI permission is required. So if you want to buy a property outside India, you have to get the RBI permission. So everything is clearly covered in the FEMA. This is what I want to say. So this is all a general matter I discussed through this forum. We are going to a very, very important area, that is identifying the status or identifying the residential status as per FEMA. So you have to forget income tax status. You have to forget the company status, but you have to read the status of resident and person resident outside India. They are not called as non-resident. So now we have to see who are all persons as per FEMA. FEMA includes individual, HF, company, firm, AOP or body of individual, then every artificial juridical person not falling within any of the preceding subclasses and any agency, office or branch owned and controlled by such person within India, all are included in person definition. And one thing we have to see is it is person definition is inclusive. It is not me. So you can add anything in the definition of persons as per FEMA. Now we are going to the very, very important area, person resident India. Person resident India means, they say this means he has to stay in India for a period of more than 182 days during the course of preceding financial year. So he has to stay, he has to reside in India. They use the word reside in India for a period of more than 182 days. And during the course of preceding financial year, but does not include. They say that it does not include for all those days which the person has gone out of India due to employment, due to business or occasion, or if the period of return is uncertain, those days have not been concluded. Those he has not been concluded. Those days have not been included in the definition of person resident in India. A person who has gone out of India or who stays out of India in either case, that is for taking up employment, for business, the stay outside India is for uncertain period. So that means you can go for education, you can go for tour, you can go and get the medical treatment, everything. The stay outside India, though the stay is outside India, the stay outside India is included in the number of days of 180 days. So the number of days of 180 days have to be excluded in the case of employment, business or occasion, or the return is uncertain. Yes, now I am going outside India. This is the definition. Now I am coming, a foreigner is coming to India, and non-resident, a person of India, a person not resident in India is coming to India. What is the definition? So a person has come and stay in India. Anyone who all stayed in India has come to India and stay on all the number of days have to be added for that 180 days, more than 180 days. Otherwise, then suppose if he comes for employment, then those days have to be added. If he comes for business or occasion, those days have to be added. If the return is uncertain, then those days in India is added. So here one important thing we have to see, he resides in India. He resides in India. So in case of employment, business or occasion, the period is uncertain. If he goes out of India, you have to exclude it. If he comes to India, you have to add employment days, business or occasion days, person of the return is uncertain for the total number of days, you have to add to 182 days. This is a basic difference you have to see. I will put it in nutshell. Reside for more than 182 days in India. It should be during the preceding financial year. He comes to India for business, employment, or trade or vocation. So every days you have to add to the 182 days. But what are days though? The exempted is gone for outside India for employment or business and occasion, then those days you have to include. It's a very, very simple logic. He has to reside in India. The residential days should be more than 182 days. And the days which he stays outside India or stays outside India, it is employment, business or occasion or permanent days of return is not certain, then those days should not be included in 180 days. Suppose a student goes abroad, his period of return is certain, say within 2 years, but he has to reside in that financial year. They use the word reside. He has to reside in that financial year. He stays, that I will explain with another example in the next part of this slide. So this is the basic difference. Employment, business, vocation, period of uncertainty. If he goes abroad, this has to be excluded. If he comes to India, these days have to be included in the 182 days. Now, definition of non-resident as per Fema. So non-resident or non-resident Indian is not defined in Fema. Please bear in mind, they say that resident outside India. Nowhere in Fema they say as non-resident. And a person resident outside India means a person who is not a resident in India. This is a very, very simple thing. So if you prove that he is a resident in India, then he is a resident. If the person is not a resident, then he has to be called as person resident outside India. Then RBI has defined non-resident, that is person resident outside India, is he should be a citizen of India or a person of Indian origin. So they say that person resident outside India, person resident means you should be a citizen of India and a person of Indian origin. Next one is definition under Income Tax Act is immaterial here. It is not material. You need not bother about the income tax definition. You have to follow the Fema definition with reference to non-resident. So who is called as person of Indian origin? He is a person of Indian origin, but he should have got the residence of other country, citizen of other country. So it means a person resident outside India who is a citizen of any country other than the Bangladesh or Pakistan or any such country as may be specified by the central government. This is a definition with reference to non-resident. Now, once again, we are moving to the resident in India. That is any person or a body corporate registered or incorporated in India. They are called as person resident in India. In case a controlled office or branch or agency in India is owned and controlled by a person resident outside India. So an office, branch or agency has been opened. They have opened the branch. They have opened the office. They have opened the agency in India. So within the Indian territory. So though the management is controlled by the person resident outside India, then there also you have to keep that company as person resident in India. Now, that is an office or branch or office outside India. A person resident has opened an office or branch or agency outside India, but the company is being owned by the unit is being owned by and controlled by a person in India. So these 4 points also form part of the person resident in India. And here you have to see the very, very important thing. Citizenship is not relevant for determining the residential status, because a foreigner can come here for the employment. A foreigner can come here and do the business or vocation. A foreigner can come to India, but the period is uncertain. So the citizenship is not relevant for determining the residential status. This point you have to bear in mind. Now, I'll explain with the one very important thing. A person should stay at least for some period, say foreign education. He has gone for foreign education. Ravi has stayed in India in 2019-20 for a period of 45 days. He resides in India for 45 days and left for foreign education for 2 years. So his period of return is certain. 1. He has not gone for the employment, business or vocation and the periods are certain. Then the stay at the foreign place, the stay at the foreign country can be added to the 182 days, because the exemption is being given to the business, to the vocation, to the employment, and the period of return is certain. For the next year, say for the year 2019-20, as he stayed in India, the period of return is certain. He has to be called as resident, but he is called as not resident or person resident outside in India because he has not stayed even a single day in India. So this is a basic difference you have to see. So this is a thing you have to remember in the in getting the residential status work. The citizenship is not material. So he should have stayed in India for a period exceeding more than 182 days. It should be done in the preceding financial year. And the periods have excluded is if the person has gone for employment, business or vocation, or if the period is uncertain, you have to exclude those days. But if he has gone for medical treatment, if he has gone for sports activity, if he has gone for education, all those days stayed outside India is also included and this is a part of 182 days. And if anyone comes to India and stays here for business, for employment, for vocation, and the period is uncertain, all the stay in India by a person resident outside India or by a foreign citizen have also to be considered as part of 182 days. This is this presentation I have given. It is all based on my view, and if you want to rely on Fema, if you want to rely on the reference, you have to go and read Fema 1999 for your reference. And thank you very much for patient hearing. And Vanakkam from Ravindran.